First off, my sincere apologies to Joel, Dan, Deb,
And Bob.
and Bob,
It's getting hurt.
Kari, and everyone in attendance. In my 20-plus years, I think this is the second time I've been late tonight. It's really disappointing. I'm very sorry. And then what made it worse was there wasn't a quorum present to start.
Yes.
First time business approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Deb, second by Bob. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. Approval of the minutes for our regular and closed session of March 13th.
So moved.
Motion by Van,
Second.
seconded by Bob. Any questions or comments?
The only thing I saw is it's Marina Peacock.
Oh, yeah. Instead of Mary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good going, all right. With that one correction, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously. Public hearing on amending village code to update floodway and floodplain data and adopt model floodplain ordinance.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, I'll take it from here. If we open the public hearing. In the packet was information about update to the floodway and floodplain data. For those of you that attended the Plan Commission meeting, we do have updated information from the Department of Natural Resources. They did a dam failure analysis on the dam at St. Croix Falls, and it's been determined that should that dam fail, the floodplain would increase downstream. Fortunately for the village of Osceola, the floodplain would only increase 1/10 of 1 foot for the area in the downtown. So I did have a map here. If you're familiar with the St. Croix River, Highway 243. This is 2nd Avenue that runs all the way down toward the St. Croix River. So this yellow line here is approximately where the floodplain is if it should flood. And since we have a relatively steep bank down to the St. Croix River, any increase in floodplain is pretty minimal for us. It's not like we're on a flat plain where it spreads way out if you even get a half a foot rise in the floodplain. So down here is Tyler and Mary Nordenberg's house. That's the one that potentially could be affected, but again, it would just slightly increase any flooding down here. Only area down here is where that lower garage or outbuilding is, might get a little more flooding should a dam failure occur. Other areas of the St. Croix have different impacts than we do, but the DNR wants us to incorporate that into our floodplain ordinance when we adopt it. So that's why we're holding a public hearing to take any comment on that. And they did have charts and things that if you're interested, you can look at the floodplain from here all the way up to the St. Croix or into the city of St. Croix up by the dam. Obviously it'll flood more there in case of any failure. The other thing we're looking at also is updating our floodplain ordinance. The DNR has come up with a new model ordinance. It's mostly the same as the ordinance that we have today. In a nod probably to the eastern part of the state, there's a lot more regulations regarding cranberry farms, or what they call flooded acreage areas with that. They did update their definitions and some procedures within that. After the close of the public hearing, the board, we're not slated to take any action tonight, so we can take this information, any comments tonight, update our code, and have our attorney review it for any references that we need to make sure are compatible from the existing code to the new one, and then at a future meeting we'll propose to adopt the ordinance at that point. So if there's any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? All right, no questions from the public?
Somebody want to know what the time limit is if the dam breaks till it hits? 2 hours and 6 minutes.
I thought it was a little faster than that.
It won't be swinging. So we need to know so we catch the wave as it comes around.
Yeah, catch the wave.
Is that a little wave, river surfing?
Little river surfing, see
Right.
what you can do there, so.
All the way to Stillwater.
There you go. So, all right, so we can close the public hearing then.
Close the public hearing.
6:20.
Any public comments? Okay. Items of business, Market and Johnson, pay request number 7 for Osceola Fire Station remodel, $68,653.
Right. This isn't the final pay request yet. We're still holding a balance, retainage. Make sure all items are done. The balance we're holding is $5,119. We'll probably just do another walkthrough, just make sure everything else is done up there. Coordinate with the fire department, make sure if there's any items remaining that we have to do. Sign on the building, we have lettering on the building to go on, and then the sign we were contracted separately with, so we'll make sure that those things get done. And then we want to put a flagpole out there too. So again, that's a separate item that we'll be working on with them, so.
Just, one question for the fire chief or, whoever else wants to answer. How is the moisture issue going up there? Is any
As
work-
far as the issues where it was like dripping from the ceiling.
Right.
That's pretty much sealed itself. No, we haven't found anything since then. Paul had a pipe fixed for one of the back heaters. That dripped and that was leaking. Paul had that fixed. The only moisture now that we'll face in the future is everything on that north wall where the garage doors are. The water will come in underneath the steel, you know, just because of what's dripping off the roof at this time. You know,
Right.
and I know we've talked about an awning and gutters.
Gutters, and there are gutters to
Try
go on.
to
Yep.
prevent that in the future.
Yeah.
So is that gonna actually fix the problem?
It's, I don't know, at this time, that's kind of an immediate fix that we're looking
Okay.
at.
Yeah.
Future, we'll have to look at, you know, if we need to take the cement out and re-slope it away or whatever.
Right.
You know, that would be more future, you know.
Just one more question. The generator, is everything on that generator system now?
Yes,
That you needed?
the electrical company was up there and reconnecting everything and put a different box in. So
Right.
now the whole building will be,
Yeah.
will be on that generator.
So we're good up to go as far as an emergency community center. If we needed a place for people to go, we're up and running.
That's nice.
Good.
I'll make a motion to approve
The pay request.
the pay request.
Second?
Motion by Van, seconded by Deb to approve pay request number 7 for the Osceola Fire Station remodel, $68,653 to Market and Johnson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously. Market and Johnson pay request number 6, Village Hall Library Discovery Center, Senior Center.
Yeah, with $309,098 for this pay request. And just as an update, if you have a chance to go to the website, you can see the latest drone video, and we have the webcam up there also. The brick veneer is on the west side of the building. They're working on brick veneer and block now. Steel, the second floor and is up, and the roof is up, and the deck steel is installed too. So, and over the next 4 weeks, more brick veneer, parapet framing, roofing, roof rings, canopies, and then pouring the topping on the upper floor. And then hopefully by the end of the next 4 weeks, they'll start plumbing electrical work inside.
I'll make a motion to pay for it.
Motion by Bob,
Second?
seconded by Deb to approve pay request number 6 for $309,098 to Market and Johnson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. Selection of architect for Osceola Fab Lab and Workforce Development Facility.
Yes, we did a request for qualifications for architectural services for the facility. We had 3 proposals come in, Ayers Associates, Firm Ground Architects and Engineers, and SCH. There was a 4th one that didn't submit, a company, Cedar Corporation. Just want to know that they were interested, but they were just so busy they couldn't have taken it on, just so you're aware. After evaluating the three in committee, the ad hoc committee is recommending that we go with SEH. They had a fee of $76,000. And also, subsequent to the packet going out, there was additional information on a contract. We're looking at, again, the $76,000 with a maximum of $3,000 for reimbursable expenses. And then we've got the schedule. Commencement of design would be this month, which is subject to the Economic Development Administration approving the contract. And then going through, design work, bid opening by October 1st, and then substantial completion by May 1st, 2019.
Joe, I just had a question. When I was looking through the information on the architects, I noticed that, is it Aries? Is that how you say it?
Aries.
Is that a fab lab they built in River Falls? Or what was that?
Well,
building?
it's similar to that. It's a business incubator.
Yep.
That they built,
Okay.
and they're the design architect on it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I saw that, and I didn't know if that was something that we're gonna be building or not, so.
It's we're not an incubator. We're different
Right.
than that. So, but yeah. So we look for a village board approval of the selection of the architect and approval of the contract.
I make a motion that we select the architect to approve the contract.
I'll second it.
Motion by Van, seconded by Bob, to approve selection of SEH for the Osceola Fab Lab and Workforce Development Facility and to approve said contract. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Carried, 4-1. Subdividing 657 State Highway into 2 lots.
Right, this is up there with the Fullerton Lumber Site. As we've discussed in the past, the EDA, Economic Development Administration, and working on the Fab Lab and Workforce Development Facility, there are certain grant requirements and grant restrictions that they place on the property. And these items we don't want placed on the full 9 acres, just on the portion for the Fab Lab. So the proposal here is to subdivide the Fab Lab building off. It's just over 40,000 square feet that we're looking at creating with that. And then we would have an easement access that would come off the building and circle through the kind of that lot to the north and come out, so they're not crossing any of our fire department or public works area with that. And then the utilities will be coming kind of straight west from where the hydrant is that we put out there, and coming into the building that way with it. This will satisfy the Economic Development Administration. The village will still own both properties, but only the grant requirements will apply to this for the 40,000 square foot parcel. So we just need to agree, approve a subdivision that creates that parcel.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Motion by Bob, seconded by Deb to approve the subdividing of 657 State Highway 35 into 2 lots as illustrated. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously. Resolution 1603 for outdoor recreation financial aid.
Yes, this is similar to resolutions we've approved in the past when we've sought financial aid or grant from the Department of Natural Resources. Most recently, we used this process when we purchased the Falls Trailer Court area. So what we're looking at now is looking at applying for grant funds again for what we call Mill Pond Park in total, which includes the Falls Trailer Court area. So we're looking at development funds for that, so we can actually finish out and create the parking, the trails, other recreational areas. And we also want to then investigate where the OMC site is too, since that was raised at a plan commission meeting that the developer thought the western half of that site could be a good location for a public park. This will allow us to work with the Department of Natural Resources and see what we can do to maybe help make that happen too.
I got a couple questions, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
So if we apply for this grant, and if we get it, are we obligated to take the grant if we turn it down?
You can turn it down if it doesn't work financially or in whatever. You can reject the grant, and then the next pre-fill on the list will be.
Okay, will it affect the next awarding? Will they look at it and say, no?
No.
The reason I'm questioning it is, I'm looking at the grant, it looks like would be responsible for receive the full grant, about 118,000, I think, is what it is, 50% matching.
It's 50% match, yeah.
Yeah, I have a hard time doing a lot of park work when we need our streets worked on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only concern I had, is maybe seeing what our financial situation is, all the money would go towards the park if we needed money for the streets.
It's a very good point, and that's why we evaluate that at the time. Also, there is potential of being able to count some private donations toward this, and then that can match our 50% also. So, the final structure of the grant will,
And I'm all for the parking down there and stuff,
Oh,
but
yeah.
you look at the band
Yeah.
shell and that kind of stuff,
Oh,
I just
yeah.
wondered if that could be put off or,
Mhm.
okay.
Yep, and we have a certain time limit, so we might be able to work with the DNR on the time limit for implementing too, as we structure it within our plan. And you're right, because as we talk further about the capital improvements plan, there are some street projects that are coming up that are critical to do, and some sewer and water ones
Right.
coming up too, so, but we wanna fit that in appropriately, so,
So,
yes.
Bob, you would be talking about the matching grants, we may have to pass up this.
I don't know, that's something we'd have to look at
We
the
have,
time.
we have to look at the time,
Yeah.
because we're still piecing some of the
If we
private
can make
ones
that, that's
together.
why I didn't wanna commit to it. If we
Right.
got the grant, I didn't wanna say, now we have
No.
to do it all.
Yeah, you always have the option.
Okay.
To not select because of the circumstance, so.
Right, that's good news, actually. And I'm seeing where you're coming from.
Okay, need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Motion by Deb,
I'll second.
second by Van, to adopt resolution 1803. Any questions or further comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously. Applications for licenses and permits. We have 2 for temporary Class B retailers, license wine. Osceola Area Chamber of Commerce for Ladies Spring Fling on April 19th at the Art Barn, and again, the Chamber of Commerce for Osceola Community Bazaar on September 8th at Mill Pond Park. We can take both of them together, or we can take whatever you wish.
I'm assuming they're the same as every year. I'd say for those two, take it together.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Bob to approve both,
Second.
second by Deb. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. Then we have Class B retailer's license beer for the St. Croix Art Barn season opener, May 11th and 12th.
I was wondering if we could have a discussion in closed session about this one?
Okay,
On
How do you do?
The art partner?
Oh, not the art part, I'm sorry, that was the next one, no, that was my
Okay.
mistake.
okay,
I make a motion to approve the ARPA one.
okay.
I'll second it.
Motion by Deb, seconded by Bob, to approve said Class B retailer's license beer. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. Class B beer and Class B liquor license for Dana M. Schoen, Rumor Has It Bar and Grill, 110 North Cascade.
Now I'd like to be able to discuss this in closed session.
Okay,
But you might want to take any comments in
Okay.
open session now,
Okay.
and then you could certainly table it
Yep.
till closed session too.
any comments from public or from chief, okay? Mm-hmm.
Could you
My
see?
name is Leslie
Yep.
Cannon, some of you know me, some of you don't. I have been offered a job here, and I'm very excited about it. I haven't known Dana very long, but she came to me and talked to me about what she wants to do in this town, and what she wants to donate for the youth groups in this town, such as the skateboard park. I have spoken to Ron Petries myself, I know how he feels about this situation. And my comment is, I want to let you know that we are a community that wants to bring in people that are good for this community. And not all my employers would even give me probably a good recommendation, even though I've worked for some of them for a long time. When you're a woman, a lot of times you have to be a little firm, you have to stand up for yourself and you have to fight for what you want, and I don't see that as a detriment. I see that as something positive. I don't play well with others all the time either. It's just the way it works, and as a woman, especially in this day and age, you have to be a little tougher. I feel that that would, be an attribute for somebody in this community and not a detriment for somebody in this community. She's a fighter. What she has done in this business is phenomenal. Each and every one of you need to go down there and see the blood, sweat, and tears that she has honestly put in here. We need another bar. We need another place that serves food and good food, and I am the cook in the morning. I make breakfast. I have never had a bad comment about my food, except for my kids when they were growing up. So, I want you to seriously think about welcoming somebody new into this community, and let's embrace change. Let's embrace something new. Let's have somebody that has the willingness and have the drive, and not punish her for something that somebody else did before her. And I've talked to some of the business people in the community. I've talked to Sue Everson, I've talked to Tilly, I've talked to Paul Anderson, and they all want her. They've all gone down, they've introduced her. I know, Van, you've spoken. I don't know if you ever made it down there or not, but I wish you would, I know Ron is, Officer Petrie is against this, and that's, a business that he has to do. I would love to prove this man wrong, just so that I can see him and say, ha. But, and I would do it, as he knows. So, I just want you to consider that when you do your closed meeting, and think about some of those, and if you need any other information from me, I'd be willing to, answer any questions you have. But thank you all.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Oh, my name's Tom O'Shaughnessy. My family owns the building. My brother and my sister and I got the building about 2.5 years ago from my father's estate. And, I understand that there was some bad things going on there, and I wish I had known about them. I lived in Glenwood City, and, I spent 1 hour a month here picking up the rent check, which was always there. And I've dealt with Tilly and Steve across the street at Levi's for years, and nobody's ever said a word to me about it. I know Chief Petrie said he sent a letter, the previous chief sent a letter that probably would have gone to my uncle, who was my dad's business partner. I never heard anything about it. So, and I know he spent 5 years, or they've spent 5 years investigating it, from what they said at the last meeting, and they still weren't able to catch anybody doing anything down there. I just, I hope that Ms. Shoney can have a chance down there and get the building cleaned up, and hopefully have a good business here in town. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, then we'll entertain a motion
To go into closed session.
To table to close
to
session.
table it.
Yep.
Just to table it, should not.
Table to go into closed session.
Get your motion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, motion by Bob, seconded by Deb to table any action on this license and to discuss it in closed session. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. Special event permits, we have 3 before us tonight. First one, Osceola Public Library, Movie Under the Stars at Mill Pond Park, June 1st, 23rd, 21st, July 21st, and August 4th.
Pretty much the same as last year. You've indicated, we don't have to do a lot, don't spend a lot of, or any staff time with it, other than keeping it mowed. So.
And then we do have 2 more from the library.
You could approve them all at once if you want.
Osceola Public Library, Rhubarb Day, Mill Pond Park, June 2nd. And Osceola Public Library, Rhubarb Day, specifically a pancake breakfast, June 2nd.
There is staff time that we've done in the past, like you said, we indicate the hours that we do in the past. Done in it every year, we budget for it.
And we can put this all together.
You put it all
as
as one approval, yes.
I'd make a motion that we approve all three.
I'll second.
Motion by Van, seconded by Bob to approve all three special event permits from the Osceola Public Library. Any further comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously. Board and commission appointments, we have two tonight. To the Osceola Housing Authority, Scott Hennisgard, would be now April 2018 through June 2022. And Peggy Johnson would start in June 2018 through June 2023.
Need a motion?
Need a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Deb,
Second.
seconded by Bob to approve both appointments to the Osceola Housing Authority. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously. Minutes and reports, staff reports, administration.
Yes, we're continuing with rental licensing. I mentioned before that there was some potential legislation that may have affected our program, but that didn't pass the legislature, so we're continuing as is. We're still working with the PSC, Public Service Commission, on our future water rate increases. There's additional information that they're requesting, and part of the information comes from our auditors as they work on that application. We interviewed 8 applicants for.
Excuse me, Joel,
I'm sorry.
did we have the conference call?
Yes, we
today?
did, yeah, we did have the conference call, yesterday,
Yesterday.
April 9th, it went
Okay.
really well.
All right.
There's 2 items from a staff perspective that we're working on, and from our auditor will come the rest of the information, so.
Okay.
It's working out really well.
All right.
Public Works, we interviewed 8 applicants, were interviewed, we did offer the position, and it has been accepted by our top candidate, Justin Schill.
Local?
Huh?
Local guy?
Local Sacred Falls is where he's working now. I think his residence is in a different community though.
Okay.
But
Okay.
he's local.
And have we reached a start date? Have we been-
A start date will be, a week from yesterday. Airport Commission is replacing the credit card reader on the airport fuel system. It was, I think, over 15 years old, and so it's been updated now, and it will be chip card ready, although for airports, that's, the chip readers aren't coming out for another couple of years, but it'll be ready for it when it does. Okay, so, still working on some tax increment audits with the auditor, and if you haven't been to our website, it's updated, it's newer, better, faster. All the above. And met with the senior citizens last week, reviewed the senior center plans, and reviewed the detailed kitchen layout. They're really excited for programming and making some selections for the kitchens and some of the finishes in there. So it's exciting to see that developing.
All right, any questions, Joel? Thank you, Joel. Please, Chief.
Good evening, everybody. Although it's still winter outside, it's March, it's cold, there's snow, it was a relatively busy month. It was a month that we'd see probably early summer to midsummer as far as call volume and type of calls. So I ran down those stats here for you. If you have any questions, let me know. I've been working with Administrator West. We're trying to get a new squad car scheduled to stay on pace with the rotation, squad rotation that Administrator West developed, and that includes a radar, mobile data computer, just to keep our equipment up to date and current. So hopefully by next month we'll have more news for you on that. We've gotten some requests. It's always this time of year that we seem to get requests from local groups about fraud presentations. That's something we really enjoy doing. One of these days I hope to make a video, because I get calls all the time on my squad cell phone from multiple police organizations soliciting funds, and then I question who they are, and they hang up on me right away. So one day I might record it and try to play along with them and see how that goes, and maybe put it on our Facebook page or website. But anyway, the fraud presentations are great. They're senior groups, they're take off pound sensibly groups. There's other civic organizations that asked us to come and speak, and I think we have 2 dates so far with another request pending. So that's something we'll do. This is the time of year we send officers to their annual required minimum 24-hour training for the most part, because it's usually a slower part of the year. Officer Gata went to a 2-day narcotics training. Actually, Gata. I always say it wrong. I apologize. Near Eau Claire, and officers Bach and Morgul attended a top-notch interview school called the Reinterrogation Method, which is a nationwide standardized school. They came back from that. They came back from that very happy. They realized some things that they've missed in past interviews and learned important things to do during future interviews. So that was great. And Officer Lehman next month, or this month actually, is going to a week-long death investigation school in Rice Lake. So finally, now the policies are done. As time allows, I'm trying to do employee evaluations. The purpose of this is to provide feedback to the officers, mostly positive, to reinforce things you're doing right. Suggestions for improvement, and also to get their feedback to improve efficiency department-wise, as well as develop as well as identify professional development goals and things that they want to do as the years progress. So,
I got a question.
sure.
What are we looking for summer staffing?
I have an advertisement now on the statewide WileyNet for part-time police officer applications. The response has not been overwhelming because if you look on that site, there's probably 30 to 50 police agencies hiring full-time and part-time officers, and we're not getting a ton of candidates. And the other flip side of that is some of our part-time officers are anticipated to be hired away in the next month full-time, one to Polk County and one to, I think, Burnett County, currently works in Centuria. So, once again, playing the game of being light, trying to train some people, get them staffed up. So we have I left the process open extra long this time too, to get hopefully more applications and better quality or better trained officers. Unfortunately, a lot of the people who apply are from the opposite side of the state, and they don't pay attention to must reside within 50 miles of Osceola to respond. So that really cuts down on the eligibility.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So what's gonna happen?
Hopefully, we get one or two qualified candidates that we can hire and train. They'll be ready to go for the summer and the fall.
And then we've got the current part-time that are, how's their hours? You gonna worry about this coming up?
No, the other part-timers we have also have jobs part-time somewhere else. So between their jobs and these hours, we've only had a couple conflicts so far. We call somebody to work and they're already working at Spring Valley or they're already working at Amory. But for the most part, we've been fortunate with these two to have the shifts covered. But I can foresee some additional problems come summer when people want more time off and it's busy and you have to have the coverage. So we're trying to get ahead of that now to see how that goes. So.
All right.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Library.
Kelly couldn't be here tonight, so if you have any questions.
The comments I'd make on it, just to note again, the March circulation is up, both regular and e-books. One thing I got a question her on is, that's been pretty consistent so far this year, but then her year-to-date total shows it down,
I
so.
noticed that too.
I don't know if those numbers got inverted.
Okay.
'Cause that math doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
But, because consistently, circulation has been
Yeah.
up this year,
Yeah.
so. And then, thanks to Ed Vader again, that, he's going and picking up our Library of Congress surplus books.
That is nice, isn't it?
He enjoys doing it.
He does, he
Yeah,
does.
he just loves it.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions? Thank you, Stephen. Public Works.
Good evening, everybody. So, the month of March, winter continues. With the snow receding a little bit for a short period of time, we were continuing to do potholing, trying to do temporary / permanent fixtures to the potholes. We've installed roughly 13,000 pounds of HFE to date. Unfortunately, there will be a considerable amount more installed due to the snow plows being back in full force. We removed much of it, especially with the the frost coming out of the ground continuously. So we'll continue to get to the potholes and keep filling them. And it sounds like we'll be continuing to be plowing some more snow this weekend. So we still, you know, have not started our equipment changeover. We are, you know, in winter form, so we're ready to deal with whatever comes here,
Sure.
mid-April.
Where are we at budget-wise in terms of hours as far as plowing goes?
I guess I haven't, I can look it up and email it out and see where we are.
We've certainly tried to, balance our supply of salt, sand, and mix like that. We've tried to work, you know, we try not to keep an abundance of it over the summertime. The rain removes much of the salt content, and we cover it and things like that, but we really try to manage as best we can, so it's been a little frustrating this year, you know, getting a load here and a load there, unfortunately, because it just continues and won't stop, but thankfully, the weather's compliant a little bit during the day, so it heats up the streets, and we really back off on the product that we use.
Is the building on top of the hill now, is that gonna be an area that we might be able to keep some extra materials inside, out of the rain if needed, or what do you do with the unused salt sand mix, the regular salt?
Well, we currently, we have a concrete pad, with a backstop. During the summer months, we cover it with a large tarp, and ensure that, you know, the elements, you know, that it stays good. So with the new building, there are some things that we'll be able to keep on hand, inside. Unfortunately, the salt sand isn't one of them.
Right.
I think in the future, just long-term thinking, we'd probably go with, some type of, maybe not so much an enclosure, but something just to keep it covered.
Like a salt shed type thing?
Yeah, and there's numerous options as far as, you know, things that are, almost kind of like your, I don't wanna say garage in a box style, but,
Right.
you know, almost a tarp hoop style building type thing,
Oh,
would even
sure.
be enough to keep, the product out of the elements.
Right.
HFE asphalt, things like that, the elements, they do damage that as well, so those are some of the things we will actually be able to keep inside so that the oil content doesn't get washed out of it. So yeah, unfortunately, I think we originally talked about scheduling street sweeping for April 9th. Unfortunately, changeover has started, but, you know, due to the inclement weather, will remain, you know, ready for the snow. On the park side of things, made a large push to clean up any dead trees or dangerous trees on village property, especially the trails. With the snow receding back and things like that, we're able to get, you know, with all the trails that we do have, you know, it's easier to get back there on foot, and then, with our UTV, to take care of any, dead trees that are overhanging on the trails that might, you know, cause a considerable accident to people hiking it. Same with along the roads and things of that nature. We also disposed of all of our, brush piles properly. We removed over an acre in Schoberg, this last season, so we do our best not to transport any of the invasive species around. Some people will chip and stuff like that, you know, invasive species, and then, you know, people will pick them up and move them to their own personal and private property, and then just continue to spread. So we've been successful with just burning everything on site, pile it up, let it season, and then burning it on site. So less transportation, the less chance of spread. So Tree City, they sent us a word of a message to the village of Osceola. It's our 10th consecutive year, so made it a decade now, and so we're looking forward to putting up the new signs, new stickers on town. We put up a new pole on both edges of town with both the Tree City, the 10-year mark, as well as Bird City. So we'll be installing those as soon as our frost comes out of the ground and the weather complies a little bit. They were they did send an award for us. So 10 years.
10 years.
So we put a lot of effort into, and we don't always often, maybe we're not able to spend a lot on like equipment and things like that as far as, but like purchases towards chainsaws and everything like that, you know, that all goes towards, the Tree City Foundation getting that, you know, this award, so, and a lot of man hours too, all these man hours that we commit to taking down these dead trees, planting new trees and watering and things like that, that's why we're able to receive such a great award, so. We'll continue on that.
In the park, the new park that, we had planted a tree a couple of years ago, or a year ago, is that, you added like 20 trees to that, I think, too, wasn't it?
Out in Pheasant Run.
Yeah, Pheasant Run, that, I think that got, about a half a dozen new maple trees, on blazes. So we were thankful for that, those were taking off great.
Right.
Putting in something a little more mature helps, especially when we're not always able to just stay on top, and we had a good season last year of rain, so. And then we were also able to put in, I think it was 10, evergreens, would be at the back of, I guess, sort of where the bus garage is located in that park there. So, yeah, we were able to put 10 in there, and they grew 8 inches last year, so taking right off.
Yeah, that was Gateway Meadows, the park.
Yeah, Gateway Meadows. And I think we have Arbor Day coming up on the 27th of this month. Obviously, the weather's not really complying, so.
We'll be busting,
We'll look for our local celebration in May, probably
Yeah.
celebrate at our next meeting
Right.
and do a planting.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Todd. Fire.
Good evening, everybody. Before I get started, I just wanted to also, Gary, you and I had a meeting in Subway one day, and you suggested to me how would I like a new fire hall. Well, I can honestly tell you, with this new hall or what we've done has been a plus. Morale, I think the community, we're the talk of the county amongst the fire departments that, you know, they come in there now and it's like, wow, look at the space you got. You know, wow, look at the lighting you got. You know, so I know you and I butted heads about decisions and stuff like that on the building itself, but I mean, first of all, it's a plus. I mean, I've got those two guys there that are constantly my carpenters that are, you know, working hard on the front half now and trying to get that finished. So you will see some extra bills. So. But thank you first of all for that. You know, like I said, we've had a couple county meetings there already, and the response from the outside fire department has been huge, you know, going forward. We're also hosting WITC there for firefighter class, you know, on top of it. They came to us and asked us if they could come there. So it's a plus for the county, it's a plus for the community.
Sure is.
This month has been busy. Obviously with Derozier's farm, barn fire there, that was a huge one. Kind of the run breakdown I'll give you, you know, there was 5 different fire departments there. Dresser, Garfield, Somerset, St. Clair Falls. Custom Fire even brought a tanker full of water, you know, that they had there from their testing, so they brought it down. Thank you to Robin Foster and a crew from 970. They brought sandwiches and refreshments to the scene. As noted in the media, great community response. If you guys would have seen it, for a half a mile both ways there was cars parked on the highway. And it's the first time in any barn fire in my 37 years of being on the department that I've seen that much community support there, where they had 80 people out in the field as a fence to keep the animals corralled. You know, a few of them I had to get on to get their cars out of the way so I could get the fire trucks in, but for the most part, it was fantastic. So that just shows again what this community is all about. We did have a car fire right next to a resident in Farmington Township. The homeowner ended up getting a trackle from his garage and pulling the car out of there, so the house wasn't going. We had 2 motor vehicle accidents. One was in town. The other was during the power outage on Highway 35 here. We had to shut down 35 there for like 5 hours. We assisted EMS with a lift off the Cascade Falls. We had a search and rescue for a possible depressed individual who was last seen downtown the night before. We had 2 smoke alarms called in for that also. Right now, we're averaging 13 people a run, you know, and that's huge. That's a huge number. I mean, especially when all you see nowadays is, you know, the volunteer fire service is really looking for people, you know. So that just tells you the work that between myself and the captains are doing to try to get, you know, good people to come in and be a fireman and respond when asked to. So that's huge. It's very good. We have a strong response rate to all calls, healthy roster count, we got engaged officers with our leadership team. Other areas, departments do struggle just to have roster numbers. You know, for example, I paid St. Croix Falls to come help us, 2 people. You know, Somerset, 4 people. You know, so they're also limited, and, you know, not emptying their town, but sometimes you would think we'd get more than 2 people, but then again, I can mutual aid and I'll just call somebody else in too. The hydrant system that's up there today worked fantastic. We've got that hydrant inside and outside. We could fill 2 trucks at one time without a skip a beat in the water. I'm glad we didn't hear from the hospital or from you, because I know we stir the water up when we're up there. And Rick's told us from the village crew, I said, careful, you know, we got to watch that new hydrant. So, but worked fantastic. The space up there, again, you could bring a truck in, turn it around, hook the hose up, and you were gone. So, big plus there. Update on the new hall. Right now, we got about 60, 80 hours and weeks of volunteer hours to support. Still completing work not done as part of the construction remodel, patch, trim work, base, molding in front of the office, meeting area, not including the south wing. We haven't even touched that yet, you know. We know we got holes to patch and stuff to do there, but that'll be at a later date. But just the front, the old display area, I think some of you have been up there since they've been doing the work, looks fantastic. We took the lettering off the old fire hall before it was torn down. Joey mounted that on the facing wall above the kitchen where it says Osceola Fire Department. You know, we didn't paint them, we kept them looking that old and stuff like that, but kind of a nice tribute. Joey did a good job with that one. We're working on some lighting in the furnace room area and stuff like that. The PPE for the building being put up in place thanks to donations from the Friends of Osceola Fire and Rescue and the County Line First Responders. We got wall-mounted first aid station and an AED station, and then signage for all, and the fire extinguishers and all that are all marked. So we're at least in code with the fire hall. And we're still troubleshooting the new system, following up with the mechanical systems are still in process. The generator, they've worked on that this week and got that all in place, making sure that it's all up to date as far as where it's covering within the building. The CO monitoring system, the boiler heating, we fixed that last week. Sprinkler, regular valve not operative, so and then a depressurized, and then so we've set up kind of a schedule. So we're testing our sprinkler system, we're testing the in-floor heat system. We'll drain excess moisture that's within the system. You know, Paul set up a pretty good schedule of when we should do this kind of stuff, so we stay ahead of the building. Like Joel had said, we're looking at quotes for the signage, for the sign outside on the street. That'll be coming, and Joel's already got lettering coming for the building. This spring we'll look at some exterior repairs. You know, Robin's is itching to get started with some flowers for the front of it or something like that, so we know we'll have her help. But like I said, a big thank you to all you guys. You know, Gary, that suggestion, you know, I think the first thing I said to you was, what year? You know, and to actually see this building come to life, you know, it's going to be a big thing for the community.
Absolutely.
You know, so.
And in the end, we agreed.
Yes.
And we've got a beautiful facility now.
Yeah, like I said, the surrounding fire departments have been they're jealous. So, but thank you. Any questions?
Many thanks to everyone that's putting in all the volunteer work. That has saved a lot, and it's really improved the appearance of the facility. So that's a good job. Many thanks.
Thank you.
Do you have an idea what we're approaching here? 1,000 hours?
Oh,
of volunteer work?
Well, I mean, between those two and then Paul's wife, Chris, you know, she's painted, she's sanded, she's primed, just about everything.
Oh.
You know, so, I mean, most of the guys go up there and it's like, okay, I'll just stay out of your way, and they'll keep it going, but, yeah, I mean, we're very close. You know, and obviously we talked about the display area floor, we know we'll just wait a little bit, we'll see what we need to do future there. You know, we've got an idea of what we wanna do, but like I said, there's added costs there too, so.
Thoughts about having an open house for the public to view
Well, it's
this?
like, you know, I would like to do it sometime when, if it's the rhubarb days or something like that, cause the people are already coming to the community.
There you go.
You know, so the kids will be in town and everything for the library and the rhubarb festivities that are going on there, so
Yeah.
I would think that would be a perfect time
Yes, it
to
would.
where, you know, we can open the doors, move the trucks out, and just have people come in there and go off,
Mhm.
you know, really,
Okay.
so.
Oh, that is good.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, building permits update, month, March, 3 projects, 276,000, and now after 3 months, we, are still running ahead of last year. Good start. Chamber of Commerce.
I think Greg was back there.
Thank you and good evening. My name is Greg Hickox. I'm here this evening on behalf of the Chamber just to give a brief update as to the happenings that are going on. And just a few things I wanted to mention is we are currently, as it relates to Give Big, we are in the process of advocating, and I brought some extra ones along this evening for sponsor a planter for downtown Osceola. And we've actually teamed up with the Osceola High School Tech Department. And they're working on, the students are working on some metal artwork for the planters on Main Street for this summer and winter. As a reminder, on May 3rd is Celebrate Osceola. This year it's at the St. Croix View Farm. And just a quick update on some committee reports. We did welcome a new ambassador, Amanda Froker, from Midwest One Bank, joined as ambassador for the Chamber. Our Trails Coalition is working on a planning right now for the Valley Brew Fest, which everybody's familiar with, that will take place in August. The tourism team is working on a business directory sign for our visitors that come to town. Our retail team is working diligently right now on planning the Ladies Spring Fling. And our membership group is working on some advisory council. And then our Grow Osceola design team is planning for our community cleanup day, which will be held on May 5th. So again, just a couple reminders, we have our Celebrate Osceola that will be held, or Give Big, excuse me, on April 24th. And I will leave a few of these this evening for the sponsor of Planter. There's a number of different donation levels that you could inquire about. So any comments or questions? Just want to take a few minutes. So.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Yeah, the minutes of the Airport Commission from March 26th, Plan Commission from April 3rd, and the Osceola Public Library from March 15th. Any questions?
Joel, I got a question here on this airport. Is this a couple of, the fuel system is working fine?
It's working
Okay.
fine, yeah.
And there was another, is the communication, the two-way radio system and all that, is it all okay, do you know? Is
You mean
some
with
of
the pilot communication system?
Right, and for ground and air and.
Oh, yeah, that all works,
Okay.
works fine, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. There was some, I think there was a controller they had to work on that had to do with calling in the weather reports for pilots that were doing it, so they got that fixed.
That was a
couple weeks.
transmitter.
That was a transmitter.
24/7, it was
Yeah.
a Yeah, it's a
repeater.
repeater type
Repeater
thing.
for that, yeah, so they got that there. Pilots have an alternate way of calling in the weather too, if that doesn't work. I don't recall exactly how to do it, but,
Okay.
so there's another method for them.
All right, that's all I've got.
Approval of vouchers as presented, and then there's one additional page before you tonight.
I got a question on one too. Check number 55251, it's the Fab Lab. Is that budget, is that work at the Fab Lab that we're doing? Or what's it? It says Fab Lab under it.
251.
Stevens.
Oh, yeah, it's for work at the Fab Lab, it's for, utilities.
Okay, is
utility
that
design.
reimbursed from the grant or is that?
That's reimbursed from the grant, that's correct, yeah.
Motion to pay?
Okay,
Second.
motion by Deb, seconded by Bob to pay the vouchers as presented. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. All right, any other items at this point in open session? Bob? Stephen? Van?
Yeah, I just got, one thing, and then, I met with a group of individuals on, we were talking about, when Bobby had the question of the, park, the Mill Pond Park. The group of veterans, are interested in getting the first small part of the project going. They have resources to start that, and there is a bulletin, there is a board up at Dick's Fresh Market, and there's brochures kind of talking about what's going on. The project is gonna start as soon as the weather turns for the best. They have a contractor, he's gonna get a hold of Joel, start working on some elevation issues, drainage issues, all those things before the actual memorial. And this would include the room for the pavers that will go in. And it's been kind of morphing in from a memorial to like a reflection or remembrance or recognition type situation, because there's some people that want to donate and have their current people who are serving overseas to be on there too, instead of people who have moved on. So that's something that you're probably gonna see in the future, that you're gonna start hearing a little bit more of a recognition, veterans recognition site. And, you know, so anyway, that's gonna get going as soon as the weather, June or July, as soon as the frost is gone. But there is those information packets are down there at Dick's Market. If anybody runs into it, you'll see it, it's a fairly large little area, and some more information there.
And we have all the approvals in place with the DNR and everything that we need
Right.
to commence the work, so.
That's it for that.
Okay.
I just had one thing on May 11th in Eau Claire, I think it's the League of Wisconsin Communities is putting on a Government 101 session. I know our new members are interested in going, and Deb is, and Bob, I think, is interested. If anybody else is interested in going, let us know, we can register you for that event.
Send the information.
I'll send you information out too, you can look at it and see if you want to attend, we can get you signed up for that.
It's well worth it.
That's it.
All right. We will now entertain going into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.851B, C, and E for the purposes of discussing licensing, union negotiations, and the investment of public funds. We need a motion to do so.
So moved.
Motion by Deb,
I'll second it.
seconded by Van. We need a roll call. Deb?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Stephen? Aye. Van?
Aye.
And I vote aye. 5-0. Okay.
We're in closed session at 7:15.
7:15.